Peace and kindness to you, dear listeners. I'm Harmony, and I welcome you to today's Soul Deep session on the Shanti Harmony Podcast, where songs become stories and stories become sacred mirrors for our everyday lives. Today's episode is titled Sow Good Seeds, The Law of Karma and How to Rewrite Your Story, based on the powerful, poetic song, Karma. We're not here to talk about superstition or cosmic judges, but about a natural law, more precise than mathematics, yet more tender than your heartbeat. Karma is not a person, not an angel, not a wrathful being with a checklist. Karma is a mirror, a harvest, an echo. It's that invisible yet ever-faithful law that reflects, returns, and re-echoes our actions, thoughts, and intentions back to us. Let me quote a line from today's lyrics that sets the tone. Man plays the gardener, the future's his field. What you plant today, the harvest will yield. Close your eyes for a moment and see it. A vast field, quiet, waiting. You hold in your palm tiny seeds, some labeled kindness, others anger, some patience, others judgment. The field does not discriminate. It receives, it multiplies, it returns. Imagine walking through that field a year from now. What will be blooming? Roses of compassion, weeds of regret. In this sacred play we call life, karma isn't punishment, it isn't fate, it's design. What you give returns, what you believe becomes, what you act upon takes root. The song Karma doesn't preach, it simply points. It says, don't seek miracles to bend the law, rewrite your story, break the mold you're in. That's where your freedom lies. That's where contemplation begins. Now let's make something very clear before we dive in. When we say contemplation, we do not mean forced focus or mental gymnastics. It is not meditation in the popular sense. Contemplation is like sitting beside a quiet stream, holding a question in your heart and listening, not with your ears, but with your being for the answer. It's a state of openness where divine wisdom whispers softly. Unlike meditation, which often seeks silence or focus, contemplation invites connection. You might chant or softly sing a word like love, God, peace, or gratitude. Whatever you seek, you can call upon. With this tone of reflection and readiness, we are going to walk through each verse, each chorus, each whispered truth in this song, not alone, but with a circle of storytellers. Each will bring their life, their insight, their spark. No one escapes gravity, and no one escapes the harvest. It's not personal. It's not cruel. You plant tomatoes, you won't harvest oranges. That is the message here. And that's both the caution and the comfort. Your future is your garden. Now, to bring this point to life, let's meet our first guest, Daniel.
Hello, listeners. My name is Daniel, and if I could title my talk, it would be The Garden I Didn't Know I Was Planting. When I was younger, I used to think karma was some mystical force that punished bad people. I didn't understand it as law, but I do now. And I learned it in a way that wasn't poetic. It was painful. I used to gossip, a lot. Harmless stuff at first, but over time it became part of my personality. I liked the feeling of being in the know. But I didn't realize that I was planting seeds that would grow into thorns. People started gossiping about me too. Even when I was honest, others doubted my words. I had created an echo chamber, and I was now inside it. One line from the song hit me like lightning. The mirror won't lie. It shows what you bring. Smile at the world, and the world will sing. It was only after I lost a few friendships and even a promotion at work because of broken trust that I sat down in contemplation. I asked, what did I do to deserve this? The whisper came back, what did you plant? That question changed everything. So I stopped gossiping, not just outwardly, but even inside. I started planting trust, support, compassion. Slowly, people noticed. My echo changed. My garden shifted. Karma didn't punish me. It simply mirrored me. Now I smile more. And yes, the world is starting to sing back.
What a powerful reminder from Daniel. Listeners, did you hear the pivot? He didn't just say, I stopped gossiping. He started planting something new. Karma didn't need an apology. It needed new seeds. Let's continue. The next part takes us even deeper. Strong point 2. You can't escape the law, but you can rewrite your story. Don't seek miracles to bend the law. Rewrite your story. Break the mold you're in. This section is electric. It calls you out and calls you up. You can't cheat the law of cause and effect. But here's the divine twist. You can change your actions, rewrite your story, and begin again. This is not about divine wrath, it's divine reflection. Let's welcome our next guest, Amara, who brings us a story about breaking an old mold and rewriting her life.
Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Amara, and the title of my story today is From Bitter Fruit to Blossoms. Some people talk about karma like it's instant coffee, add water, and boom, results. But karma is more like a garden season, or a boomerang thrown in slow motion. It always returns, but it takes its time. I was raised in a household where nothing was ever enough. Not love, not money, not approval. Somewhere along the way, I started carrying that energy into my own life. I became impatient, quick to criticize, slow to trust. I thought if I controlled everything, my job, my relationships, even my own emotions, I could keep pain away. But I was wrong. Instead of peace, I harvested tension. Instead of joy, I got disappointment. People around me began to withdraw, not because they were unkind, but because my energy repelled what I secretly craved, connection. Then I heard this line from the song, "Don't seek miracles to bend the law. Rewrite your story, break the mold you're in." Something about it struck deep. I realized I was trying to use willpower to bend life in my favor, instead of living in harmony with it. I had been trying to cheat a mirror. But you can't deceive a reflection. You can only change what it shows by changing yourself. So I did something radical. I stopped reacting. I started responding with softness. I smiled when I wanted to frown. I spoke gently when I wanted to be sharp. Not because I was being fake, but because I was rewriting the mold I had lived in for years. Little by little, things changed. Conversations became lighter. My health even improved. I wasn't suppressing who I was finally expressing who I had always wanted to be. Karma isn't a monster. It's a gardener with perfect memory. It never forgets a seed, good or bad. But here's the gift. You can plant new seeds today. That's how the law carries you, like the song says. It doesn't carry the you that was, it carries the you that is now willing. My life isn't perfect, but my garden is blooming. And this time I know what I've planted.
Amara's words feel like a balm, don't they? She reminded us that karma doesn't demand perfection. It invites participation. Rewrite your mold, and life will reshape itself around your new patterns. Now we move into deeper territory, where the song speaks about the inner shadows, the hidden seeds. This is where karma gets subtle. It's not just our words or actions. It's the quiet intentions, the whispered judgments, the internal wars we never resolve. These are the seeds too. Let's welcome Isaac, who has a story that might sound like yours.
Hey everyone, I'm Isaac, and my story is titled The Seeds I Thought No One Could See. You know those thoughts you keep to yourself, the ones that feel so small, so quiet that you think they don't count? I had a lot of those. I never yelled, I rarely fought, but inside, I was a battlefield. I used to silently judge people, at work, in public, even friends. I'd smile outside, but inside I'd think, she's fake, he's lazy, I'm better. I called it discernment, but really, it was fear disguised as pride. Then one day, I had a falling out with someone I respected deeply, my older cousin Jake. Out of nowhere, he called me out, "You're always polite, but it's like I feel you judging me. I don't trust you." I was shocked. I thought, but I never said anything. And then it hit me. I didn't have to. My internal energy had been leaking through every interaction. Karma had returned my hidden seeds, disconnection, mistrust. Later, I heard this in the song. What you bury is what you'll find. That line unraveled me. I realized that just because the seed is hidden doesn't mean it won't grow. Karma doesn't care about visibility. It cares about intention. I sat in contemplation for several weeks after that. Every time I caught myself judging, I replaced the thought with compassion. Not pity, compassion. I started praying, yes, praying for people I used to look down on. The shift was slow, but it was real. I'm no saint, but I'm no longer pretending to be kind. I am learning to become it. Karma didn't punish me, it showed me myself. And that, my friends, is the beginning of freedom.
Isaac reminded us that karma starts at the invisible level. Our energy is a broadcast, and the universe is a precise receiver. Change the station, and the world around you tunes in differently. We still have more to explore. More verses, more guests, more mirrors of truth. Whatever you put out, words, thoughts, choices, comes back in its own time and tone. If you shout into the canyon of life, your own voice returns. Our next guest brings this principle to life with a story that sounds like something out of a movie, only it's real. Sila, over to you.
Warm greetings to all listening. I'm Sila, and my story is called The Echo of My Own Voice. Years ago, I ran a small online business. Handmade crafts sold with love, or so I told myself. But behind the scenes, I was constantly comparing my success to others. I used flattery to get ahead, underpriced my work to outshine competition, and even borrowed ideas without crediting people. It's just business, I'd say. Everyone does it. But life listens deeper than words. Slowly, things turned. Customers stopped leaving good reviews. My supply chain got rocky. My content started getting copied. Someone even accused me publicly of stealing their idea. I was furious. How could they? Then I heard this song. This line in particular, life's an echo, it returns what you shoot. It felt like a boulder dropped into my heart. I had been so focused on outdoing others that I didn't notice the emotional arrows I'd been firing. Little acts of scarcity, little shots of competition, little stabs of envy. One by one they returned. Karma wasn't cruel. It was fair. Too fair. In contemplation one evening, I whispered, "What must I do now?" The answer came not in sound, but as a knowing. Be who you were pretending to be. That week, I wrote apology messages. I credited artists. I even posted online sharing what I had learned about business and integrity. Not to fix karma, but to stop breaking it. Things shifted slowly. The reviews came back. New ethical collaborations formed. My business didn't just grow, it bloomed with peace. I no longer had to chase success. It came on its own echo. Karma didn't punish me. It responded, like a canyon, like a mirror, like a faithful friend who never lies.
Sela's story is a gentle thunder. Can we all pause here and reflect? Life is not unfair. Life is exact. If the echo is harsh, soften the voice you send out. If the mirror reflects harshness, change your expression. The song clears the greatest misunderstanding about karma, that it's cruel or angry or watching from above like a cosmic police. No, karma is law. Karma is response. Blessing returns blessing. That's the pattern. Let's welcome our next guest, Noah, who had to unlearn everything he thought karma was.
Hello, beloved listeners. I'm Noah, and I've titled my sharing, "The Day Karma Smiled Back." There was a time when I believed that if something bad happened to you, it was because karma was angry, like a divine punisher. You break a rule, you pay the price. This belief made me judgmental. I saw people going through hard times and silently thought, they must have done something. I lacked compassion. But then it happened to me. I was falsely accused of mishandling funds at work, suspended, investigated, humiliated. The truth came out eventually, but the damage was done. I lost friends, confidence, peace. I was angry at life. I kept asking. But one morning I was drawn to walk alone through the woods near my house. No music, no phone, just stillness. And in that stillness I remembered this line from the song, "Karma's no thief, neither a punishment." I didn't know why it popped into my mind, but I sat under a tree and began to reflect. I realized I had once judged others in similar situations. I hadn't been directly unkind, but I'd sent energy of contempt. And now I was on the receiving end, not as a punishment, but as a mirror. It broke me open. From that moment, I began blessing everyone, especially those who wronged me, not as a moral act, but as a spiritual science. Karma, I learned, is like light. Whatever lens you put in front of it, it shines through accordingly. Months passed. The person who accused me later confessed. I was reinstated. Not only that, but I was promoted to lead a new initiative in restorative workplace culture. Me, the guy who used to judge others. I don't see karma as a judge anymore, a silent guide, always inviting me to sow better seeds.
Noah's realization is a breath of clarity. Karma is not retribution, it's recognition. When you shift from why is this happening to me to what is this showing me, you've entered the classroom of soul growth. This is a reminder that karma is not to be feared, but to be honored. Love given returns. Seeds of joy bloom. No force, no begging, just law, just flow. Let's welcome our final guest, Lila, with her reflection on this joyful law.
Peace, dear friends. I'm Lila, and my story is titled The River Unchained. There was a time when I begged for happiness. I journaled affirmations. I made vision boards. I tried manifestation. But deep down, I was aching. Not because these things don't work, but because I was still rooted in fear. Then one day, my grandmother said something simple. Joy doesn't grow where selfishness is sown. At the time, I brushed it off, but it lingered. Later, I found myself listening to this song. The last lines hit me like an answer. Joy will flow, a river unchained, for it's a law that can't be renamed. It clicked. I had been trying to be joyful, but not giving joy. I had been chasing love, but not offering it. So I flipped the script. I started small, leaving notes of encouragement in library books, giving compliments without needing one back, smiling at strangers. Not for outcome, but for outflow. And slowly, joy returned. But it didn't come as an event. It came as a way of being, like a river that finally found its opening. The law wasn't blocking me. I had damned it myself. Now I live by one phrase. Love first, bless freely, and karma does the rest.
Lila closes our circle with beauty. Karma isn't just a mirror. It's also a stream. It flows where you allow it. Open your heart and life rushes in. Now it is time, dear listeners, for question and answers. Let us begin with our first question. It goes to Daniel, who told us about the garden he didn't know he was planting. Daniel, here's your question. What was the single biggest lesson karma taught you when your echo came back through gossip and lost trust?
Thank you, Harmony. If I had to distill the biggest lesson into one word, it would be ownership. When everything started going wrong, when friends distanced themselves and my professional reputation took a hit, I felt wronged at first. I told myself I was just being honest, just venting. But then I realized karma doesn't measure excuses, it mirrors intentions. That moment of reflection taught me that I can't control the reactions of the world, but I can control the seeds I sow. I saw clearly that I had been planting distrust and reaping isolation. It wasn't punishment, it was math. When I began owning my thoughts and words, not just actions, I reclaimed my life. I learned that karma doesn't respond to appearances, but to vibration. And ownership shifted my vibration completely. The more intentional I became with my speech, the more harmony returned to me.
Profound, Daniel. You've shown us that karma is not a courtroom, it's a classroom. The lesson? Responsibility. Now we move on to Amara, whose story reminded us we can rewrite the mold we live in. Amara, your question. What was the most difficult part of breaking your old mold, and how did karma respond to your new story?
Oh, thank you, Harmony. This question touches something still fresh. The hardest part of breaking my old mold was surrendering control. I had lived most of my life believing that if I could just outthink, outplan, or outhustle others, I could guarantee peace. But that mold was made of fear. What karma taught me is that peace doesn't come from force, it comes from flow. When I stopped trying to manipulate outcomes and simply began responding with kindness, the world didn't fall apart. It settled into a deeper rhythm. The response wasn't instant, but it was real. Kindness returned in the form of grace. Control melted into connection. Karma reflected my new energy, not just because I acted differently, but because I became different.
Amara, that was like wind brushing through leaves, soft but strong. You reminded us that karma isn't delayed, it's patient. Let's hear now from Isaac, who unearthed the power of hidden seeds. Isaac, your question: how did your internal thoughts, though never spoken aloud, shape the reality around you?
This question gives me chills, Harmony, because I used to think karma only tracked what we did. But my life taught me it also records what we think, especially consistently. My thoughts weren't just private commentaries, they were broadcasts. Silent frequencies I was sending into my relationships, my work, even my body. I didn't know people could feel it, but they could. Even when I smiled, my energy said, "I don't trust you." Karma picked that up and returned mistrust. It wasn't punishment, it was a feedback loop. Once I shifted my thoughts, replacing judgment with genuine compassion, the world softened, conversations flowed easier, even people's body language changed. It's like I had been leaking toxins, and once I stopped, the air around me cleared. So yes, karma responds to vibration, and thoughts carry it. Now I treat my thoughts like seeds, because that's exactly what they are.
Thank you, Isaac. What you've shared feels like soul medicine. We often try to change our lives from the outside, but karma begins within. Now we turn to Sila, who shared her story about the echo chamber of business and comparison. Sila, your question: when you recognized your karmic echo, how did you begin sowing new energy, and how long did it take to feel the shift?
Great question, Harmony. The first thing I had to do was own the echo I had created. No excuses, no, but everyone does it. I accepted that my scarcity mindset had produced scarcity all around me. The moment I accepted that, the shift had already begun. I began sowing differently, crediting other creators, supporting my peers, raising my prices not to compete, but to reflect worth. These weren't grand changes, but they were consistent. It took a few weeks for external results to show. Better feedback, new opportunities, but the internal result was immediate. I felt clean. That's the best word I can offer. Clean, clear, aligned. And karma responded in kind, not dramatically, just quietly, like a tide that turned in my favor.
Sela, that's golden. You've shown us that change begins the moment we shift our intention, not just the outcome. Let's invite Noah, who taught us karma is not a judge, it's a teacher. Noah, your question: how did your view of karma evolve once you stopped seeing it as a force of punishment?
Harmony, the moment I stopped seeing karma as retribution, I stepped out of fear and into faith. I used to walk on eggshells trying to be good so nothing bad would happen. That's not love, that's fear. But when I understood karma as a response, not a wrath, I relaxed into grace. Now I see karma as a divine assistant. It's not watching to punish, but guiding to correct. Every time something goes wrong, I pause and ask, what is this teaching me? And I get answers, not always right away, but always in time. Shifting my view changed everything. Now I bless others, not to earn blessings, but because it's the most natural way to live. Karma is precise, not petty. Loving, not lurking. And that shift, my friend, freed me.
Beautifully said, Noah. Karma as an ally, not an avenger. That idea alone can heal so much. And finally, we welcome Lila, whose story was like sunlight on water. Lila, your question. You mentioned joy as a flow. What changed in your life once you began giving joy instead of chasing it?
Harmony. The change was everything. Before, I chased joy like a dog chasing a car, loud, frantic, and never quite catching it. But once I started offering joy, just small acts of light, it came back without me chasing. I realized joy doesn't need to be summoned. It needs to be released. And once I stopped making joy a transaction, I'll give when I get, and made it a habit, life flowed. I laughed more without needing a reason. I sang while washing dishes. The people around me smiled more. Life stopped being a ladder and became a dance. So yes, karma gave me back what I had withheld until I opened the gates.
Oh, Lila, your story reminds us that joy isn't rare, it's reciprocal. And with that, dear listeners, we wrap up our question and answer section. So many truths, so many mirrors. We shall now flow into where we ask our guests for practical tips on how to live out these truths in daily life. This is where we plant the message into real life, no longer theory, but practice. Because truth is not complete until it's lived. So, dear listeners, you've heard their stories. You've felt the pulse of karma beating quietly through cause and effect, through whispers and echoes. But how do you live this law when the alarm clock screams, the coffee spills, and someone cuts you off in traffic? Let's ask 4 of our guests to offer practical, grounded ways to live in harmony with karma, to sow good seeds in the soil of daily life.
The first and most life-changing tip I offer is this: treat every word like a seed. You might think your words vanish into the air, but they don't. They land on someone's heart, in someone's memory, or in your own consciousness. So now, before I speak, even casually, I pause for 1 second and ask, do I want this to grow? That tiny pause saved me from planting regret. I've also made it a habit to bless people silently, on the street, in meetings, even those I disagree with. I just think, may they be well. That alone has transformed how people react to me. It's almost magical, but it's just karma responding in real time. If you can manage your words, you can manage your world.
Hi, I'm Amara. It's about turning complaints into compassion. For me, the everyday battlefield was always complaining. It's so subtle, so sneaky, but complaint energy is a weed in your garden. So here's what I started doing. Whenever I catch myself about to complain, I reframe. Instead of, this line is too long, I say, wow, look at all these people trying to live their day too. Instead of, why me, I say, what can I learn? This isn't forced positivity, it's intentional sowing. Because every thought is a little prayer, whether you mean it or not. Also, I keep a seed journal. Just 1 line a day. I write down one good thing I did or said. It reinforces the idea that I'm planting, not just passing time. Over time, my energy changed. My mold didn't break, it melted.
Hi, it's Isaac speaking. My tip, monitoring the mind gently, is both simple and hard. Become the observer of your thoughts, but without shame. I used to beat myself up for every negative thought. Now I just say, there you are, let's shift. No guilt, just guidance. I do this through contemplation. I might sit quietly for 5 minutes, softly chant a word like love or gratitude. Not to escape my thoughts, but to listen beneath them. Then during the day, if I feel tension rise, jealousy, irritation, judgment, I breathe and ask, would I want this returned? That single question redirects my thinking. Thoughts are not harmless. They are karma's whispers. If you want a better echo, change your internal song.
Hello again, it's Lila here. I will call this, give joy before you need it. My tip, give joy preemptively. Don't wait until you feel like it. Smile at your barista. Leave a kind note in a library book. Tell your tired coworker something you genuinely admire about them. But here's the key. Don't wait for it to come back immediately. Just keep giving. That's how rivers flow. If you clog the source, you clog the return. And practically speaking, make it a game. I call it the blessing game. I set a goal. Bless 5 people before noon. Or 3 compliments before 5 p.m. It's light. It's fun. And it rewires you to give. Because when you pour joy out like water, karma becomes a wellspring.
And there you have it. The truth has walked down from the clouds and into your kitchen, your wallet, your relationships. Karma is not only cosmic, it is domestic. It lives in traffic jams, spilled drinks, and text messages. It lives in the breath before the word, the thought before the tone. Speak with awareness, think with intention, love with courage. Dear soul, you've walked with us through the field of cause and effect. You've sat beneath the tree of personal reflection, and now here you are, whole, ready, reminded. We began this episode with a quote. Man plays the gardener, the future's his field. What you plant today, the harvest will yield. Karma is not out to get you, it's out to grow you. It reflects, yes, but more than that, it responds. To your smallest acts, your silent thoughts, your internal shifts, it responds to the love you dare to give without return, and it multiplies that love like seeds in spring. Today you heard Daniel speak of words as seeds. You listened to Amara melt her mold. Isaac taught you the subtle power of thoughts. Selah echoed her truth through business and boldness. Noah reminded you that karma is not punishment, but partnership. And Lila left us dancing in the stream of joy. All these stories flowed from one song, a song that was not written just to be heard, but to be lived. So now, dear listener, breathe in deeply, lay down the fear, pick up your shovel of awareness, and let the lyrics of this song take root in your own soil. Listen now to the full track, Karma, and let it wash through you. Let it show you what you're planting. Let it echo back the life you long to live. You'll find the full version in the description below. And I encourage you, share it with someone who needs a gentle reminder that what you give is what you'll find. Bless others, and you will be blessed. Love freely, and life will open like a flower. This has been Harmony, your voice and guide for the Shanti Harmony Podcast. Until next time, may your seeds be golden.